So we heard from Nicolas Winding Refn there about his film Only God Forgives. James, what did you make of it all?
It's not a film that will leave you shrugging your shoulders with indifference, is it? It is so out there and arch and formal and composed and mannered. It is begging to get a reaction, either a negative one or a positive one. Ultimately, I think I'm positive about it. There are some downsides. Because it is so stylised, I think it's verging on self-parody. I watched it, enjoying it, but also thinking someone could take the mick out of this so easily. The way the characters stand totally still like statues, the way the lighting is so planned. I mean, every ray of light falling artfully onto these beautiful faces. You know, it's so organised, so planned out. The redness of it is such a red film. Red light just infuses every scene. It's not film noir, it is film rouge. There are serious amounts of red there. So it is stunning, absolutely stunning, but sometimes it's like it's too perfect, it's too much, blatant. And actually Ryan Gosling's character, Ryan Gosling, of course, has become famous for his strong, silent types, his sort of Brando-esque roles. In this, he takes that to new levels, talking about being blatant. You know, it must have been the easiest script from ever to learn. It was interesting that Nicolas said he doesn't write much dialogue because English is a second language. Well, in this, Ryan's character basically just stares into space, looking moody, looking mean, saying nothing. I don't actually think that this character that he's created over several movies can really go any further. This is like the ultimate incarnation of it. So it's definitely more about the style, ladling on the style than the emotion. Drive, I think, actually had some emotion, but this one not so much. But the good stuff, I did actually find a lot of it really breathtaking. Kristen Scott Thomas is KST, as we're now going to call her, who's all blonde hair and leopard print and orange nails, just nasty and brassy, and a brilliant bit of casting as this gangster mum. She seems to be able to do pretty much anything. And actually, even though none of the characters are that intricately drawn, she does bring something to her character. And the guy who plays this strange, odd police chief, the Angel of Vengeance, his name is Vitaya Pansringham, who I think he was a graphic designer years ago. Then he was a dance director, only fairly recently turned to acting, but has an enormous presence, totally deadpan, looks like and dresses like a sort of kindly uncle character, got a real like soft, gentle face. But his character is chilling and unforgettable. And actually, out of the three leads, Ryan Gosling might be the big star, but I think he is the least interesting character out of all the three of them, actually, because he's trying to look enigmatic, but actually looks a little bored for most of it. But some amazing moments. A fight scene in this between Ryan and the Angel of Vengeance, and you've got the Cliff Martinez soundtrack. He did Drive as well, really pumping in the background, and all the red light, and it's dramatic and it's breathtaking. There is definitely beauty in the brutality. Very brutal film. That's really what it's about, the purity and the drama in revenge. But it is, I think, moments are absolutely jaw-dropping. But I can totally see that because it is so mannered and so stylised, it is certainly not going to be everyone's cup of tea.
Okay, yeah, it's funny. I'm listening to. I'm having the same reaction to listening to your review as I had when I was watching it in the cinema, which was everything was so excruciatingly slow. Everyone walks slowly. It's like, please just pick up the pace a little bit. Ryan Gosling's eyes go left, right. They've gone gobo-tastic, which I think is those things that you put over a light to create the patterned effects and stuff like that. Yeah. I have to say, I found it pretty tedious. I just couldn't get into any of the characters. I didn't really understand the violence. I didn't care about any of the characters. I didn't know where it was going. I just wanted it to end. And I really enjoyed Drive. And I loved the soundtrack. I think the soundtrack to Drive was on my sort of headphones, like a lot of people, it's great for walking through tube stations and kind of stuff like that. And I loved it. And yet the soundtrack to this I found it quite painful in places, sort of like, dogs probably hear when people, when they hear strange noises. I had my fingers in my ears at points. And I really wanted it to end. I was hugely disappointed. I thought it was kind of over-stylised nonsense. Although Kristen Scott Thomas was fantastic. She is such a nasty piece of work. She has the most incredible... And I think when Nicolas was talking about some of the dialogue that Ryan Gosling came up with for her, she's a couple of sentences that she says that you can't repeat on this show because it's a daytime family show. But I was genuinely quite shocked. Yeah. And I thought she was the best thing in it.
Because you care a bit about her. And the lack of the lack of caring about any of the characters is the main problem with it, I think.
is.
And I mean, some people had that problem with Drive as well, but at least there was this sort of romance there as well with the Kerry Mulligan character. Whereas in this, there's none of that.